You are listening to Penguin Classics On Air. Today's program is on banned classics. With us today is Rick Wartzman, author of Obscene in the Extreme, The Burning and Banning of John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath. How did you come to writing a book on the banning and burning of Steinbeck's classic?
I had been working on an earlier book about a giant farming empire in Central California, and in the course of doing the research on that book, I came across a photograph of the Grapes of Wrath being burned on the streets of Bakersfield. And it's one of those photos that just always stays with you. It really makes an indelible impression. And actually, I was at a book reading for this earlier book I was doing, and somebody brought up that photograph and asked me if I had ever seen it. And I knew instantly what she was talking about. And this was actually a friend of mine, a poet from Bakersfield. And then she said to me, hey, do you know anything about the librarian who tried to fight the censorship? And I said, well, I don't know anything about that. So that's what got me going down a pretty long road to start peeling back the story.
What group initiated the ban, and what were their main concerns about Steinbeck's book?
Well, the ban was actually officially put on by the Board of Supervisors in Kern County, California. And I should note the book was actually banned and, in some cases, burned elsewhere in the country. It was actually banned or put on restricted shelves in libraries, so you had to kind of make a fuss if you wanted to go get it. It was censored in a variety of ways, everywhere from Detroit to East St. Louis, Illinois, to San Francisco, to Trenton, New Jersey, to Buffalo, New York. And it was censored all around the country. The Grapes of Wrath was really on obscenity grounds. The language that was used by Steinbeck, some of the vernacular people, even people who liked the book, found pretty shocking for its day. And of course, there's the famous scene in the novel. It ends with Rose of Sharon breast to a starving stranger, and that was way too much for some people in those days. But I focused on Kern County, on Bakersfield, because the book was banned there both on obscenity grounds, but also on sort of political grounds. The Board of Supervisors and a group of big agricultural interests, giant growers in the area, they were really offended and threatened by the way Steinbeck portrayed big agriculture and the way that it exploited migrant labor. And so, to me, that was what was really of interest. It wasn't just on obscenity grounds, but there was this whole political and kind of class politics element to it.
And amidst this whole battle, there was this one brave supporter of Steinbeck's work that you talk about, named Gretchen Neef. Who was she, and what did she go through?
Gretchen was the county librarian in Kern County, and she really was a very brave woman. She actually, her job, she served at the pleasure of the County Board of Supervisors. But nonetheless, after the board issued its order banning the book from schools and libraries in the county, she struck back. And Gretchen had actually been on vacation, and she came back on a Monday, August 21st, 1939, and it was her first day back at work, and it was the day that the board voted to ban Steinbeck's novel. And there were about 60 copies of the book that the library had in its system and were in circulation, and a waiting list of about 600 people waiting to read it. And Gretchen was ordered to call in all those books, and she did. And she then wrote a very powerful letter to all the members of the board. It was a 4-1 vote to ban the book, and she really hammered those who voted to censor the novel. And she asked what I think is a great question. I mean, she basically said that in effect every group, every political point of view has something they don't like. And if we ban this book today, what book are we going to want to ban tomorrow? Sort of where will it stop? And I thought it was a great question to ask. And again, she really took on a very powerful group of people and people who could have fired her instantly.
This is Penguin Classics On Air, and our guest is Rick Wartzman, author of Obscene in the Extreme, The Burning and Banning of John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath.
This program is brought to you by Penguin Books, the publishers of Eat, Pray, Love. This celebrated writer's irresistible and eloquent account of her pursuit of worldly pleasure, spiritual devotion, and what she really wanted out of life is now a major motion picture. Eat, Pray, Love, available now from Penguin Books.